Anyway, mate, it's nice to have you on. God knows where Tony is. Tony's on one of his travels again. Stu's got some problems with his one of his bikes, his motorbikes. So he's got air leak somewhere, he said. So he's gone to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to podcast number 955 million of Cowboys and Indians. Then we've got my mate Kevin, who follows Elche. And we've been following them all season. 5 or 6 games to go, top of the league. Over to you, my friend. How's it going?
Yeah, well, 5 games to go for most of us. Elche, top of the league, 2 points clear of Levante, who we play at home on the 10th of May. And I'll be there for that one and the final game later on that month. Unfortunately, they reverted to type. Still top of the league, but they've started passing it tippy-tappy football, as they say, the new way of saying it, the tic-tac football. But they've drawn the last 2, so not lost. They drew away Granada yesterday, home to Albacete, which is 2 points lost. Albacete are mid-table. We are a far better side than them. But we're looking good. We're looking good for automatic promotion. Definitely going to make the playoffs, come what may. So there's us, top, Levante, and then Racing Santander. They got a game in hand. They play today, I think, and if they win, they're 2 points behind us. But we are looking good. And to be fair, it's been a good season. The football's good. Most teams try to play positive football. Unfortunately, the refs let us down. I think the standard of refereeing in Spain, I think you see that in La Liga as well. Not very good. But the football, yeah, very good. So we'll be down there, mate. And if we can meet up for an Elche beer, that'd be great when we're down.
Yeah, mate, how many teams go up in the league, into the league?
2. There's 2, and then you've got your playoff spot.
So at the moment, the championship.
Yeah, you've got some, if you follow Spanish football, you've got Santander, they're a big club. Oviedo, Mirandes, they're a good club, and Granada are in 6th. So that was a tough game away yesterday and got a point. So we can't really knock it. A good point away from home, they're in the playoff spot.
Malaga next week, mate, on Thursday. So I'll be quite near Granada and Malaga. If there's any games, I'll pop in and have a game. I just want to, let's hypothetically, we shouldn't really jump. You say you got 4 or 5 games left? We've
got 5 games left. And it's just...
what's the points in the 3rd division? Who's in third place, sorry?
Santander, they're on 63. We're on 68, but they got a game in hand.
Points, you're always better off having points than getting. What's the GB?
Absolutely on the... we got 21. Levante on 22, Santander 15. These are all pluses. And then you've got 10, 14, 13. So they're not great. Tells you a lot about the football, very much possession based. Do you remember it's like the old Italian football at times? Do you remember the Italians from the 70s where
I
it's
do, mate.
That's it?
It's that I don't get the hustle and bustle of what people go on. There was a guy, I can't think of his name now, he used to do the Italian football on a Sunday morning. Was it James Richardson? He used to sit there with a cup of coffee and have a newspaper, didn't he? And tell you. And like a 1-0 win for them, as well as being in Europe, they was masters of it. Is it a bad thing to play football that way? You watch the games, you go there. Is it still a good atmosphere?
It's a great atmosphere. Really good atmosphere. Like I said before, when I came on, I went through the club and gave the club history. It's a great atmosphere. It's not tribal. Most of football in Europe, outside the top 2, your Madrids and Barças, and then your German teams. Outside it's not really tribal, not as tribal as the UK. But it's still a great atmosphere. In terms of the football, the Spanish one, I quite like it. Now, I listened to your podcast with Stuart the other week, and I can't remember the guy's name, the footballer guy. What was his name? Played a good standard of football. Anyway, they were talking, and Stuart's going on. He misses the hustle and bustle and the passion from the 70s and the 80s. If you look back, was it better? I don't think it was. I think today's players are technically gifted, a lot better. They're a lot better trained. They control the ball a lot better. The technique's better. They're technically a lot better, I think. you had your great players from those days, didn't you? Tony Currys, your Stan Bowles, your Hudsons, your Bests, and your Brookins. But they stood out because so few people, were that good. It was a standard below what I think we got today, and that's what you see in Spain. They're technically very, very good.
Why do you think, Kev, Flair then, because this is something that Stuart mentioned as well the other day, why do you think Flair is being trained out of players?
In the UK? Because I don't think it is in Spain. You see the Flair in Spain, it's just not, they can do it. They just don't want to give the ball away. Whereas, I mean, if you take the game yesterday, the Palace Villa game, would you say that they had Flair players there? Well,
I thought it was a fantastic game. Kev, do me a favour, can we come back to that? Because I think it was a masterclass from the manager, the old Eintracht Frankfurt manager, I forget his name now, but they beat us in the semi-final, didn't they? It was they just literally wiped the floor with Villa, and they were 3 fantastic goals. But let's come back to going back to Spain. Yeah, what is is it a bit like the Championship? You get a lot more money for going up into La Liga.
I'm not sure on the. You obviously got the prestige. You do get the money, La Liga money. I don't think it's on the same scale as the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, because they reckon the winner of the Championship playoff gets more money than the Champions League winners, don't they, in the UK?
Well, there was a story about Bobby Zamora.
Go on, mate, it's mum.
There was you there?
Yeah, go on.
There was if you cast your mind back, I think there was a story about Bobby Zamora. He basically was the richest player ever because he scored 2 winners in the playoff final, which is worth an estimated 150 million to the club.
Someone wrote a song out of him, didn't they? When the ball hits the net, well, that's what you get with Zamora.
More, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and theoretically, then, mate, like you go up, right? I've looked into the finances of some of the big clubs in Spain. 2.5 billion in debt. Barcelona are. That includes this new super stadium they got that equates for 150,000 people. It's the biggest stadium in the world now, isn't it? Will you have to think? Do you think you'll have to go into debt, or have you got owners that are well equipped that can keep you there? Unlike what's going on in the Prem, where they seem to get there, and the last 2 seasons, the ones that have gone up have gone back down again.
Well, just on the Prem, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a Leeds fan, and for Leeds to stay in the Prem, realistically, you're looking at 500 million to spend. Otherwise, you're going to do an Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester. You're going up, and it happens nearly every year. There aren't many teams that come up. Whereas in the Prem, in La Liga, Valladolid went up last year, bottom of the league. Now, when Elche go up, as I said before when I came on, Elche's their financial, as I call it, unfair play. Real Madrid can play one of their players more in a month than the entire Elche squad.
500,000 Mbappe, isn't it? He's like Ireland, Ireland on the same money.
Yeah, that's more than the Elche squad. So you're at a loss. Who's any of these top clubs? Actually, we're going to let you go. Are they going to go down to Elche? Well, we can't pay the money because of that fine. It's such it penalises. It's supposed to be a level, but it penalises the poor clubs. And what's
with the financial fair play then? Because it is throughout UEFA now, isn't it? This financial fair play. Does that not help the clubs coming up, or does it hinder them?
No, I think it hinders them because you can't invest. It's the guy was saying the other week. If you invest in new training facilities, that comes on costs. Everything you spend comes under. It's not just the wages, the players' wages. It's everything.
I'm quite sure, Kev, that the infrastructure. Now I only know this of the Prem because I looked up like the infrastructure, the kids, and there's one other any repairs to the stadium. Normally, that don't come into it. I don't know if that's the same in.
I thought we did. It's something we can look at, isn't it? I thought that if you built a new training ground, then that comes at part of your costs because it's an.
Spurs are in debt to 1.2 billion for their stadium. high cost loans.
How do you equate that into the financial fair play?
You don't, because the financial fair play is no more than 105,000 loss over the space of 3 years, which really basic. I mean, why any business would run at a lot of 35 million a year loss is beyond me. Listen, I want to keep away from money because we've got one coming out about agents' fees, which I think are destroying football, and that money's lost from the game. So let's go to the positives. Will you keep the same players, or will you have to get better players, or do you think the players there can keep you up?
No, we'll need it. We'll need to strengthen. But the new manager, Sebastian, I think it's Barasithi, I think he's pronounced his name. He's got them playing really well. You know, he gets the best out of players. We've more or less, we've had a couple of additions, but we've more or less got the same squad. And he does get them playing good football, and that's, a good manager will do that. Whether you can keep them up, if they go up, I think he'll need to strengthen. We've changed the keeper. We had a good keeper anyway, but he was just too small. This geek, our new keeper's got this season, he's got very good presence, very commanding presence. The back four, we've got this big guy from somewhere, John. What a great guy. He's just, he's there, he's got a presence. And, the old defenders we had, central defenders, too small, too lightweight, and easily pushed over. He's developed a good squad. He's got them playing good football. They will need to strengthen. Everyone's going to need to strengthen. Anyone that goes up in any league will need to strengthen. Probably a striker, which is where, we missed far too many opportunities, and good opportunities as well. But then strikers seem to be a rare commodity in Spain.
Yeah, but you're going about the negatives of the team, Kev. You are top of the league with
no. They're the positives. We are there with those positives. We've got some good players. Talking about if we go up, we will need to strengthen. Every team will need.
The price of your season ticket will change if you go up.
Oh, absolutely. The last season ticket I had in the La Liga was €140. But it's 3 years ago.
But don't they charge a bonus if Real Madrid or Atletico or Barcelona?
You get just two, Barcelona and Madrid, and that's €20. So if it goes up to €25, if my season ticket's under €20 this year, if it goes up to 150 and €25 each for Barca and Madrid, that's €200, mate. £180 for a season ticket for La Liga. That's peanuts for the football you get.
It is, mate. And the brand. I'll tell you what, mate. I looked at Barcelona
and at the ground as well. The food and drinks cheap.
It's different. Do you know? I looked at the Tottenham one. I was just going through when we knew what we were going to be talking about. Tottenham bring in per game just under 900,000 per game on food and drink per game. So there's a lot of money to be made in the hospitality. Hence what we've said before about the corporate packages. Now, when you go up against these teams, I mean. I don't want to say it in a really what I call I don't mean this in any disrespect to any teams in any leagues, but if you look, Celtic have just won the league again. It's Celtic or Rangers, and obviously in Spain it's normally Barcelona and Madrid. Now, like we said, Barcelona are 2.5 billion in debt, and yet there's a possibility they could win the quadruple this year.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I think they'll win La Liga. I'm not so sure they'll win the Champions League.
Who do you think's better than them then?
I think Arsenal beat him, and I think PSG.
Really? I mean, he's doing well, Luis Enrique, isn't he? I mean, West Ham looked at him, Chelsea looked at him, and I think if you look back now, they probably both wished they'd have gone for Luis Enrique. He had a lot of trouble with Spain at one point, didn't he, when he was national manager?
Yeah.
But
no, apart from that 2.5 billion that Barcelona are in debt, and if you can take the Madrids and the Barca out of it, because they are going to win, it's nearly always one of them, apart from Bilbao or Athletic. Spanish football's in a good place, I think. There's a good standard of football. It's the crowds are there. We're averaging 20,000 this year, which ain't bad for a La Liga club. We've had some 24, 25,000. We'll get that certainly when we play Levante home in their last game, possibly 30,000 on a 33,000 all-seater stadium. It's it's really good. Football's really good down there.
Have you got a good youth setup, Kev?
Yeah. They have, for boys and girls. There's the international tenure that we belong to. They publish all the leagues, and the ladies aren't doing that bad in their league. They're second in their league. And then we have you got your under. Well, you got your juniors as they do, and at the end of the season, they all parade around the ground. It's really good. About half an hour, all the teams, the Elche teams, boys, girls, and they go around the ground, lift any trophies they've got or personal trophies. Really good. The atmosphere is brilliant, mate.
Do they have to pay the kids to be mascots? I watched the other day. I don't know if.
I don't think so. But I know in the UK they do, don't they? Well, certainly in the Prem.
500 quid, right? A kid, and they now have like 11 kids. Although I've got to say, like a big shout out. There was a young lad in a wheelchair, like very not well. Funny enough, his name's Bobby Moore. And a massive Man United fan, and someone put something on YouTube about him, like, giving it all this. And all behind the doors, no one knew he was doing it. Bruno Fernandes went down, found where he was, went down, give him a top. And then, like, he come out as the mascot in his wheelchair for Man United. So, big up for Bruno Fernandes for doing that. Now, my main concerns is the teams going up and the teams coming down. Is this discrepancies. What is the difference at the bottom at the moment of La Liga? Are there teams already relegated? Because we've got 3 already gone, haven't we? With 6 games to go in the English.
Yeah, I think Valladolid have gone, I think, already. I'll check now. La Liga. Yeah, I mean, at the bottom, you've got the 3 that went up, Valladolid, Leganes, as it's pronounced over here, Espanyol, mid-table, 13th, they're doing all right, but Leganes and Valladolid are down. Leganes is going to go down. They're 4 points adrift with 5 to play, but the results, they just don't get the game. They just don't get results, unfortunately. But that's a struggle. They did really well. Those 2 teams that I mentioned first, Leganes and Valladolid, they both went up automatically, both coming down.
Yeah, it's the same, isn't it, mate? I mean, like Luton, like they invested heavily, like, and they've been down the bottom of the championship, but they're making a bit of a fight of it now, trying to stay up again.
But they're at the bottom 3 now.
Yeah, they've just come out, hasn't it? Speaking of which, mate, I must say congratulations to Wrexham, who have been promoted again. They've got them 2 American film stars who invested heavily, don't they?
It's 3 on the trot, isn't it?
Yeah. They've gone up.
Also, I think that's the first.
Sacked their manager, aren't they? Who's kept in? He's kept him in the league. Oh God, I can't think of his name. Is it Newport County? They've just sacked the manager and they're staying up. But if we just go on from the Spanish football yesterday. Did you watch the FA Cup semi-final yesterday?
Yes, really enjoyed it. I was like I said earlier, I hadn't had a drink for about a month, so we went out to the pub in our local town, and it was on, so I watched it, and it was a masterclass from Oliver Glasner. He got his tactics dead right. I mean, Villa were never at the races.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It's unlike that because he's a great manager, that Unai Emery. I'd have loved him at West Ham.
Yeah, I just think sometimes, Kev, like someone can outthink you or can outsmart you in the first half. But I think great managers, they pick that up and they negate that in the second half. Some games are too open. Some games, I mean, I could go on forever about this zonal marking, the man marking, the hybrid marking. You know me, if you see the ball, you go for it. But I do think they were 3 great goals. Ezzy's first goal was spectacular, and the next one...
Missed the penalty.
And they missed the penalty, yeah. So congratulations. I mean, spectacular football.
And the goal...
I thought were brilliant, weren't they, as well?
The goal that was ruled out, it was very harshly ruled out.
Do you know what hurts me more than anything, mate? Like, I always go back to the 1981, was it? League Cup final when we played Liverpool. And we drew 1-1. But we drew 1-1, weren't it?
Yeah.
And when the players walked round at the end, you give them a round of applause. No one had lost, right? So obviously West Ham had scored in the last minute, so everyone was eyes a kite. all the Liverpool fans went, right? Even though their team hadn't lost, they didn't clap them around the pitch. Now, if you looked at the Villa end yesterday, right, their team has got them to the FA Cup final, right? God knows how many teams have entered this year, probably in the hundreds, and they didn't even wait and clap their team off. But if them team would have won, all them fans there would have wanted a ticket for the final. For God's sake, you know what I mean? You can't win every game. Set that your team's
and the Champions League quarter-final.
Yeah, they've had a great season, Villa. A really great season.
Pushing for Europe.
Yeah. That's really interesting, the top of the Prem at the moment. I think they're going to take their eye off the ball a little bit today, which would just run quickly through the other one. Man City, Nottingham Forest. You think it'd be a good game?
I'd like Forest to do it. It'd be nice to see two teams in the final that ordinarily don't achieve, if you know what I mean. We've seen City do it time and time and time again, and everyone else, Man United have done it, Liverpool used to do it, Chelsea do it, Arsenal do it. It'd be nice to see Forest there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be really good for the leagues. I think, I told you, depending on who win things, we know it's down to 8 at the moment. But if certain clubs win certain things, it could be 10 clubs out the Prem get Europe, which is absurd, really. But I think they're a good side. I like Chris Wood, but I think Nuno has got to be up there as one of the managers of the season for me.
But his tactics as well. He plays to his strengths. And Chris Woods has been a revelation. Yeah,
I think Gibbs White has been astounding, one of the players of the season. I think Anthony Elanga, who again we was connected with down in East London, that never happened, and he went the full length of the pitch the other day and scored, didn't he? It was an interesting end of the season. I think Liverpool need a point today to become champions, don't
they? Yeah. To be fair, I mean, I've just looked at the table now. That the 10 goals clear. They've got a +10. They're not going to blow it now. It's over. I talked to a Liverpool fan yesterday in the pub, and he said, I'm really pleased. He said, we're 20 now, the same as United. We've pulled it back. And then he said, but it ain't been a great season, has it really? He said, I don't think the standard's been that good. He said,
do you think then they're not getting the credit they deserve, Liverpool? You can only play who's in front of you, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. No. They've won it. There's 5 games to go. They play today. They've still got 4 games to go. They've won it. And you don't do that by being a bad team.
Yeah, they just don't think they get mentioned, and like Arne Slot is not getting a lot of plaudits from people. We did one last week. Say that again.
It's his first season.
It is his first season. Yeah, I agree. They don't seem to get talked about.
No, his investment in terms of playing staff, 0.
Yeah, 20 million they paid out in agent fees this year, which is way down, amongst.
Yeah, he's done fantastic, and the football they play, you can't knock it. They win games.
Yeah, I agree.
And quite often this year, like good teams do, they win ugly.
Oh, sorry, mate. I've had to throw something at Juju. I've just thrown a brush at Juju and killed the dogs.
Quite often, they win ugly, and that's a sign of a good team. When you're down, you ain't playing that well, and you scrape out that result. All right, I think they've lost 2 this year.
I think it's been quite a good season. I think if you look at it, though, I'll tell you what would be quite funny. If you took away the bottom 3, if you look who would be going down this season, it would be West Ham, Tottenham, and Man United. It stands, yeah. Which leads me on, which I hate to say it because I'm going to probably upset a few people. I'm just sick to death of the negativity surrounding West Ham at the moment. And I've just, I've had it with a few people, a few sites, and I just don't get that. Yet again, you're getting these creators, whatever you want to call them, YouTubers, that all they want to do, I'm quite think they're happy when they lose, the team loses, they get more clicks, more comments, whatever. And it's just doing my head in. Did you watch the game yesterday, West Ham Brighton?
Yes.
Go on. What do you think?
We have some. I thought at times we played really well. Defensively, so naive for the 3 goals. You know, you can't give Premiership players 10 yards outside the box. They've got 10 yards around them. We know it's just green space. That last goal, I think apart from Bowen, who was probably just outside the box, we had everyone back. And the guy picks it up 35 yards from goal, walks a couple of paces and bangs it in.
Yeah, we said this last week. We said that
you can't give people that we don't have. You know, and somewhat, this is not negative. This is an observation. I don't think we have a natural leader.
No, I've said I don't think that West Ham in particular, that Bowen, this is nothing. I think it affects him because I think you have to do a lot outside the game, which probably he could do without. But I mean, I have really stuck up for Potter in most sites already want him out. You know, we got rid of Moyes, we got rid of Lopetegui, and now I
stuck up for Lopetegui. If you remember, I stuck up for Lopetegui. You know,
I do think it was a tactical blunder yesterday. I mean, even if he was injured, Emerson, I do think that he should have stuck Wan-Bissaka, who was our player of the season for me, out on the right and moved Kufal to the left, because for me it was a mixture. The second goal of Kufal and Kilman, who's been the biggest disappointment for me this season. And Paqueta turned his back for the first goal. Bowen turned his back for the last goal. So that was all 3 goals that could have easily been defended.
If you look at our best defensive performances, you've got to say it's Cresswell, because he seems to tell other people what, you know, he seems to be a captain, an unofficial captain. You know, Kilman doesn't seem to know what, you know, Mavropanos, I mean, he's a great player, but he needs to be managed. And he needs, you know, to cut out that one glaring error that he gives it, well, you know, that one glaring error. But we just don't seem to have a leader.
You think last year, Kev, like we had Zuma who was captain, didn't we? Like, who come and met the ball. You had Craig Dawson, and you also had Oggy, you know what I mean, who was really skillful, very underrated, I think, for what he did. So all of a sudden, you've completely changed the backbone of the team. For me, mate, I don't want to go on really about it, but I think there's 8 or 9 players that don't want to be there. I don't think they'll see Alvarez play again. And I think it's a massive draw out. Now, there's a question for you. Do you, personally, it might be a good idea if they go down at some point and reset again and have to change the whole structure of the club. Do you agree?
Oh, dear. Difficult, because I think this season, you could say we're going to have to do all that without going down, because you're looking, you know, like you said, if you took the bottom 3 out that came up, we would be bottom, we'd be going down, but you know, no doubt about that. So maybe someone needs to look. I need new owners. You know, I spoke about when we was last on about Karen Brady and the interview, if you remember, she gave to the Sky Sports guys, that I don't really think asked her any challenging questions. They just, you know, they basically let her have a free rein. It was almost a political broadcast on behalf of West Ham. And what she said, this is about money. This is about corporate. This is about getting people in through the turnstiles. Yeah, we need Premiership football. First and foremost, we want money. And we want, like you said, 60,000 people every week. I think we're the 3rd highest in the league. Is it 3rd highest?
Second, only behind Man United.
Second. And we fill it every week. 4 or 5 seasons ago, 6 seasons ago, or whenever it was, you could get into Upton Park, just walk over there.
Not the last season, when they knew we were closing Upton Park, but the season before that, you could always walk
25,000. You can walk over there and get in. But
is that because of good sales pitches by the Premier League? You've got to say, like, it's a business. Like, I don't care. People look. I would love to go back to when I was a school kid, when you were safe to walk the streets, walk home 1 o'clock in the morning, get up to no good like we did in the East End of London, you know, and we all survived. But that's gone. You know, I know people that don't want to let their kids out after 7 o'clock. Well, that's the same as football. The football we had, Kev, is gone. It's now become business first, football second. And
in a lot of ways, you know, well, if you go back to, you know, the podcast 2 weeks ago with Stuart. He wants to go back to the blood and thunder and the passion and the guts and the tackles, that ruin players' careers. Well, actually, I think the football's better. There's a lot better today about football than it was back in the 70s, the 80s. The stadiums, the access, and that comes at a price.
I agree. I think after Hillsborough, right, we had the railings put in, and the railings was put in because of the fans and because of the hooliganism. They wanted to stop fans getting to other fans. And then when all that happened, the government had to do something, right?
Well,
I agree with all-seater stadiums. I think it should be half and half. But there's no excuse for me. If you listened yesterday, you could hear the West Ham fans singing at Brighton, right? When I watch West Ham games when they're playing at home, now I know we spoke to a guy the other week who said about the psychological side of football is massive. He said, don't let it kid you that it don't happen. If you wake up and you're not feeling right, he says, you can't play that day. You just can't. Your mind's elsewhere. Something's happened. So I do understand that. And I think now when West Ham play at home, you got 11 players go out there and all the fans are holding the swords of Damocles, waiting for anyone to make a mistake. So as we don't give negative, we don't give positive to our players. It's a continual negative diatribe of shite, basically, telling them all the things they're doing wrong and not the things they're doing positive.
But isn't that a hangover from the club's negativity?
But what can we do, Kev? We can't change the owners, right? Not talking about as in, forget West Ham, because it's a football channel. Let's talk about when Newcastle had, who was the guy who owned Sports Direct? Mike, someone, I forget his name now. When they wanted him out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But once you've got someone in, they're the people that run your club. Unless you're going to get that money and put that money up. I mean, that Kretinsky bought his 25% for 150 million. He wants to sell them for 200. So if you look at 25%, that basically adds up West Ham to just under £1 billion. So hypothetically, I mean, with the rights and everything else, it's a lot of money for someone to come in and put in. When what do they own? They own a crappy training ground, right? That's it. Yeah. They don't own anything else. Unless there's something ever comes in about that. So you need someone that's going to come in. And I don't think it's going to happen. You certainly don't want owners come in like the Glazers did with this leverage system where they had a loan where you can have up to, I can't remember what the percentage was now. And now they've lumped Man United with a loan of 700 million, which they pay 60 million a year rent on. Yeah. What a great deal for the Glazers. They took 200 million out.
All right, negativity. Let's get back. Maybe, and I'm probably going to get slated for this. It does have a lot to do, or some of it appears to have a lot to do with social media.
100%. I agree with you. 100%.
I've watched. I used to subscribe to 3 or 4 West Ham channels, and I'm sure other teams do. Other supporters do the same. And I've actually stopped following them because it's just negative. It's just all when Lopetegui, was he the best West Ham manager at the time? Best choice? No, I think the club panicked. But as soon as he was in, the day he signed, he was dead man walking. Everyone wanted him out. There was no, he's in now, let's get behind him. They're going, right, you've got 6 games. Well, 6 games at the start of the season. And, and when that, goes around the crowd, it amplifies, doesn't it?
I agree. I think, you get these people, Kev. I mean, I pulled out a couple of channels, I hate to keep saying it, but I think some of the Arsenal channels, I watched, someone asked me, because of what we do, someone asked me to watch one of their watch-alongs, and it was just a load of swearing, saying how useless they was, and blah, blah, blah. And this guy had one of these silver plaques in the background, on the wall here, that how many, I think you've got to have 100,000 subscribers off of YouTube. And I thought, he's got 100,000 people subscribed because all he wants to do is shout and swear and holler. And life's changed. If you ask a kid now what they want to do, when we were kids, it was like, right, I want to be a footballer, I want to grow up, I want to do this. If you ask kids what they want to do, they want to be a YouTube creator. And what do? You press on YouTube now, and there'll be most sites will have a clickbait. Oh, Potter for the sack, say, for someone's put. And if you look, I'd say 90% of the West Ham sites will want Potter out.
I mean, we got to get Potter next season. You've gone, mate. Your sound's gone.
Mate.
Yeah, I've got you back. We've got to give Potter next season. We can't just give him up.
Give him a chance, I think.
But you had a guy on here that runs another West Ham show. Lovely guy, really nice guy. But he's already got a Potter out campaign.
Yeah.
As much as he's a nice guy, and I think it's very knowledgeable at West Ham, I think, look, you just.
I agree.
You're telling that.
I think at some point it's got to stop, and you've got to build. You've got to rebuild. If your house blows down, you're not going to put that house back up in a day. You've got to put the bricks. You've got to get the foundations down. You've got to put bricks. And like we said about the infrastructure, I'm 100% sure the infrastructure doesn't go, especially with the kids, onto your fair play, the PSI, whatever you want.
But to be fair, mate, we did do quite a big partial, I say partial, but a substantial rebuild at the beginning of the season. Was it 9 players we bought? 8 players?
Well, basically it's 89. With what we brought in and what we sold, it works out just under 90 million in the red. And then the year before that was just under 90 million.
But we bought Max Kilman, 40 million. Is he worth it? I don't know.
No.
But we've got him cheaper.
I don't think he's good enough.
No, he's got Maverick. Not Maverick. He's got Cresswell telling him what to do. He's not an actual leader. He's not. I don't think he's an actor. I don't think he reads the game.
No. So, mate, before we finish this, because as you know, I've got a gig today. I've got to.
That's fine. Yeah.
Couple of questions. Do you prefer going to West Ham or do you prefer going to see football at Elche?
Elche, country mall.
It's the whole experience.
It's far more relaxed. There's a much better atmosphere in terms of you don't feel threatened. It's less tribal. You can mix with the opposing supporters. You can have a right good laugh. And you know what? If you lose at the end of the game, you walk out.
And is there a good atmosphere? Is there a good atmosphere?
Oh no, great atmosphere. It really is good.
Yeah, I was talking to Robbie Lewis, Ray Lewis's son, and he lives in Poland now.
I was going to say Poland, he lives.
Yeah, not far from the Ukraine border, So I messaged him, spoke to him in a week. He's a Chelsea fan, so I've been trying to get him on, but he went to see. He called it Lecce. So whether it's one of, I don't know what he meant, but he says if you go there, if you don't go, he calls it. He named the stand. I can't remember which one it was, but he said if you don't sing in that stand, you get beat up. He said it's like full of the ultras. He said so when he goes and he takes his kids, he has to go in another stand. He said it's proper tribal out there, a bit like South American sides are. So it'd be nice if I could get Robbie on and
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it'd be great to listen to him. Yeah. So
I'd love to get a game in with you. I'm going up to Valencia, so we're going down to Malaga next week. Then I'm going to go. I want to get a game in Valencia in the Messiah before it finishes. So listen, and on art, if you go up, Lecce, and let's hope they do. Elche, sorry. Do you stay up? Do you stay up?
I'm going to say yes. And I'll tell you why I'm going to say yes quickly. Is we were the first team to be relegated for financial
irregularities,
yeah. And we paid that off a couple of years ago. We paid it off about 10 years early. So the club's on a sound financial footing. It's managed really well. They're redeveloping the stadium. They, liquor paint here, and they're going to put an outer skin on it and make it a lot better. The aesthetics. And there's a real positivity about the area and the club. So I think we'll stay up. I think we'll go up and stay up. So I'm going to put me next.
Well, I hope so, mate. And when you're down here, mate, I'll be seeing you within a couple of weeks' time. You're coming down it, so you should see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely down 5.5 weeks. I mean, it is. So no, we'll definitely get knock a few clubs about as well.
Sylvester's, yeah, it'd be good to see you, mate. Listen, thank you very much. We haven't got Stu here to say goodbye, so take us out any way you want, Kev.
Stay safe, everyone. Enjoy football, no matter where you are. Enjoy stay, and as much as it pains me to say it, the tribalism in the UK. Congratulations to Liverpool. So I do think they'll win it today.
Good luck to Forest. Thanks, Kev.
Good luck to Forest.
Mate.
Take care, bud.